Good afternoon, everyone. It's Manuel Fernandez here today, again with another Blackboard clinic. Today we'll be talking about customization of your course. Um, Now, customization can happen through just making some changes to the default settings that already come with your class, which I'll be showing in a moment, or they can be done through the customization area in your Blackboard course management section. So let's begin. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have deleted, for the first time in a long time, all the content that's in my sandbox. And as you can see, I've recreated it to just the default set of navigational links, the homepage, course information, course content, messages, discussions, and my grades. If you have ever been assigned a brand new class, or you've done a course copy from an older class to a new one, you will notice that this is the exact same structure you have in an empty shell. But it doesn't normally stay empty, or it stays this basic for very long. So just to navigate a little bit, the entry point is the home page. You go to course information, you would have the same all four tabs. So nothing really has changed. It's just that this has become the default, what is the default structure for an empty course. Now, it's one thing to add all the content areas by yourself or with the help of the Blackboard team, as we help with the instructional design and course design aspect of your class. There is another option you have, which is the customization under the course management panel. If you go to teaching style, you will find a long variety of options for course structure, as long as examples of what that course structure involves for your students. I will be dropping a link to a variety of PDFs that I have available. As you can see, I'm going to show another screen for a second. As you can see here, there's a wide variety of type of course structures. So we have like activities, constructivism, we have case studies, experiential learning, project formats, we have guided discussions, cooperative learning, we have course structures that divide the content by chapters, by modules, by lectures, and by subject, right? Each of these these are links to PDFs, which I'll provide in the description of the video. And each of those PDFs will have some explanation of what is showcased within the structures. You can also always click on one of the options, and it will give you what the navigational menu links will show in your navigational content menu. So if I switch to activity, it'll have activities, what is involved in this activity course structure, which is an activities, conversations, live chat option, stay on track, tips and resources, tools, game plan, instructor information, grades, and help, right? You could jump down to experiential learning, and we would have action plans, collaboration, roundtables, blogs, reactions, group, resources, tools, etc. So as you can see, each one loads pretty quickly, and it will show you what's involved in this, right? If you click on some of these, before you actually click on use the structure, it will provide a small description of what's involved here. So you might not know what my reflection means, but if you click on my reflections, it will say that this is a journal. Like the students use the journal to reflect privately. So it's called my reflections, but it's really a journal tool link straight in the navigation menu. Same thing with chats. What does chat mean? Interact using live text-based chat. We might not have that feature turned on anymore. So one of the options would be to create, provide them a third-party resource like GroupMe or Slack or Zoom, which we would highly encourage that you use Zoom. in the chat option rather than use what was previously the Collaborate version. We used to have Collaborate a long time ago. Now we would use Zoom. So yes, you can go through each of these structures, kind of get a sense of what they involve. So this has like discussions, you have like less meet sessions, etc. And then if you like this specific group, the specific group course structure, if you like that the course structure involves a lot of group participation, let's click on social learning, for example. It has wikis, it has discussion boards that focus on the student opinions and like get them to participate and give their thoughts. Then you might want to use this structure. You might also want to choose to divide the class structure by chapters, right? So either way is up to you. So let's say, for example, we want to turn on the lab format. Well, you can click on use this structure, and it's going to ask you. If you're not quite sure what the lab format might mean, you can check the box for include content examples, and then click submit. So it's going to load. It's taking a little bit of time to load. All right. So there is now the lab format. It'll notify you that the course style has been updated. I'll give you a small explanation here. And then you can start navigating through here. Because we selected to use the examples of the course structure, you're going to see these things. Now, these are not available to your students, so they're technically just tips for you to follow. So what does this say? In Lab Supplies content area, you can organize your content by topic or by experiment. You can choose to use this page as a central area for all course materials and reinforce the lab activities through other tools, such as discussion boards, blogs, and groups, right? You have how-tos, like click the action links, edit or delete, turn off edit mode on and off. So this is great, because you have an example of what one chapter might look like, and so on. So yeah, you can keep going through all these, right? And then just get acquainted with what it's involved in each of those links. So we have glossaries. Glossaries will be very important in a lab class, because you have to have definitions for specific terms. And those definitions need to be standardized across the entire class. Then you have course modules. Your methods are going to be your content. It's going to be another content area, etc. So yes, this is a great thing to include. Make sure that if you are playing around with teaching styles, if you have a brand new sandbox, and you can email us or call us and ask us for one. You have a brand new sandbox and you want to look at any of these styles, please do so. Let us know. Come and play with this and get the hang of what each one does. You might do combinations. There's nothing stopping you from having a lab class with some cooperative learning involved in the structure, right? So now there will be some tweaking going on here, because this is going to be on top of what already exists. Blackboard can't really delete things that already are in the navigation menu. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have the lab that we previously loaded into this class, and then at the bottom, we're going to have the lab, the hypotheses, conclusions, lab groups, etc. And at the very top, we're going to have learning activity, the stuff for the cooperative class content that we just brought in. So that's something to keep in mind. You can make some changes. So you could, for example, keep the wiki. You could keep the idea share. You could delete the coaching area. You could delete the what's new area, because you already have something already called the new and do section. So that's up to you. Again, if you're looking for something very specific, you know the way that your course wants to look like, and that's excellent. Come to us, and we will go ahead and demonstrate and create a course structure for you. Um, if you don't know what your course should look like, we can also help you with that, with those ideas. We start off with the basic settings. We start offering, and then once we've built on the basics, we'll start discussing. Well, now that you have a course information page, you have a welcome page with syllabus and syllabus quiz, etc. How about we work on separating assignments between either by chapters, or we separate assignments by topic, or we separate the assignment, or we create two sections, one for your assessments, for your exams, major type of submissions, and then one for your quick quizzes, daily or weekly homework. That's something you can come to us, and we can discuss that with you and try and help as much as we can. So the last thing you can do, and I don't, some people might already know this, but one of the cool things you can do in the customization areas, you can select the entry point for the class. If you go to customization, teaching style, and scroll down past select course structure, you can change the entry point to whichever area, as long as it has content, and preferably as long as it is actually available. Yeah, things like leader info, right now, if you can see this means that leader info is currently hidden from view, and it affects the students. Since that's made unavailable, then it's not going to show up in your link or your list of options. So the most important thing is, where do you want the students to constantly walk into when they first access the class from anywhere in Blackboard? They go into your class. Where do they go? Should they go into what's new? Should they go into an area called learning activities? That might be a bit of like, okay, it's my first day in class and it's already telling me that I have homework. That's a little weird. Why not go into the welcome page, where the student can always go into, and hey, here's a reminder what the syllabus is like. Here's all the due dates, for example, and here's your syllabus quiz. Make sure you always enter that page. Or maybe for the first week, you have students enter there. You can always come back to the entry point and change that. Change that to the course info. Change that to announcements, etc. Another cool thing you can do, say you're not going to be making major changes to the actual structure of your class. You like course information, course content. They never hurt anybody, so you should be good to go with those. You can change the style, the theme of the class. You can change it to something a little more unique. Is there a particular reason to do this? Not necessarily. The one thing to keep in mind is almost every single class that is taught at the university has a Blackboard shell. The only classes that are not automatically made available in Blackboard are face-to-face classes. So if your students have multiple online or hybrid classes, they might have some issue differentiating between English 2301 fully online and your English 3305 fully online, or their history 1305 and history 1301 and politics 1306, right? If they all look the same, right? If they all look the same, what's going to stop them from submitting assignments in the wrong place? You can always change the theme to something that might be slightly unique compared to everybody else's course. So for example, you're in a writing composition class, you have a composition notebook theme that if you click submit, it will override what was previously set there. So now you have a composition theme and you're in the composition class. And that's one way to quickly differentiate for your students the difference between your composition class and somebody else's composition class, or your composition class and a writing class and a research writing class, for example. So it's something to keep in mind. You have a lot of things you can do in the teaching style area. You have your course structure. You have the entry point, selecting where the students are to go into. Now you can change this at any time. So remember, this can adapt through various times in the semester. If at the start of the semester, your students are entering into the syllabus area, great. If later on in the semester you know that they know their syllabus like the back of their hand, they can jump into what's new or what's due and have them jump into and get working, right? At the end of the semester, you might just point them to my grades. Like right after you submit your class, your grades before the class closes, you can just put the entry point to my grades. So students go, instead of calling you or emailing you, hey, what did I get? When I go into course information and I click on Sandbox, boom. Now I don't have any grades because I'm an instructor, or I have the instructor role here. But if I was a student, the first thing I would see is what my score is. So that's something to keep in mind. That would be another example of just adapting to your students, adapting your course to the needs that it needs to meet at the time, right? Okay,